Two shooters were initially believed involved in the mass shooting. One of those shooters now dead. What's not been confirmed is whether or not that gunman took his own life or whether or not there was something that ensued after authorities began arriving at the scene. And now the big question will be, is there in fact that second shooter, and where is that second shooter?
He was also, Jay Carney specifically asked about whether assault weapons ban, whether that remains a commitment of the president. And the answer was yes, it does remain a commitment of his. There were reports, you touched on it earlier, Trace touched on it earlier, of a possible accomplice. And there was some tape of police. Let's look at the pictures. There were reports of a second person, perhaps an accomplice, and then we didn't hear much more about that. First we'd heard that they had been pushed off of that, and now we're getting more reports, unconfirmed as of this hour, Rick, but we're getting more reports now from other sources that a second person may be in custody. Have the police said anything about whether they believe that piece of the investigation is still open?
Well, what we had heard was that there was a potential second suspect. You know, oftentimes after these major incidents, you'll have a lot of reports, and many of them turn out to be false. A lot of times there's confusion in the midst of things, and someone may be running from the scene who may be escaping with their life, and people might think that that person is running because they're fleeing the scene because they're somehow involved. We don't know. We're waiting for police to arrive here at this park to brief us and give us more information on the shooting itself. We've been told that there is no active investigation, no active search for a second shooter. That could mean that they have already captured a second person if someone was involved, but we haven't been able to confirm that yet, Megan.
But whether there is still an active search underway for a second gunman, that's the question, and that may have something to do with that helicopter aerial shot of the woods.
Going forward.
Some of the early reports suggested there might be multiple gunmen. Have you seen anything to verify that, or are we just talking about one shooter here who is dead?
I've heard that same report. I don't have any information that would either confirm it, or dispel that report at this time. It's an active, very active investigation.
Sure. Will be rather a day for discussion of the usual Washington policy debates, but I don't think today is that day. Today is not the day to, I believe, as a father, a day to engage in the usual Washington policy debates. I think that day will come, but today's not that day.
He was also, Jay Carney specifically asked about whether assault weapons ban, whether that remains a commitment of the president, and the answer was yes, it does remain a commitment of his.
We have our temple service every Sunday, starts around 10:30, and usually goes in the afternoon, and around between 10 and 10:30, four white males who were dressed darkly, dressed in all black clothing, came in and opened fire on our congregation. And from what I'm told, about 20 to 25 people have been hit. And my uncle was one of them. He's been taken to the hospital. I don't see the left. One of the gunmen is down, so there's three left.
Well, David, in these situations, having covered them a number of times, there's so much information that police are trying to get. Some of the eyewitnesses tend to have wrong information.